Question from a listener, and this is about being such a fan of tennis and an appreciator of tennis, where you came from. What is Craig? He asked
kids and
the introducing.
Yes.
Do you feel any conflicts as pickleball grows into junior pickleball, and any conflict between the old start kids off in tennis or start them straight in pickleball? Do you feel any push and pull or conflict there?
That's a tough question, because as of now, knowing what I know, if I had kids, I would be starting them off with tennis. And I would be playing pickleball with them, but I think you become a better pickleball player when you have the discipline of tennis. And I don't just mean the physical discipline. I think tennis gives you a mental discipline that I really appreciate. It's really like a chess game out there. And you get that from singles and pickleball, but pickleball was developed as a doubles sport. So singles pickleball is kind of just tennis on a smaller court right now. I mean, let's be honest about it. So I actually, starting about a month ago, I started to play tennis again after not playing in many years. And it was atrocious. The ball kept going through the throat of my racket.
Because you're used to a much shorter paddle.
Yes, exactly. The only thing that was close to the same was my serve, but that's because I don't do that motion in pickleball.
Makes sense.
And so I've started to play. I played 3 or 4 times, and finally, I'm able to hit a ball where it's supposed to be hit. And but initially, when I started playing pickleball, I was able to pick it up at a pretty, a decent level already, an intermediate level. And I had the muscle memory of footwork still, and of how to control the ball and speed and how to hit it and the motion. When you can totally tell when you see a tennis player, because it's pretty, like their strokes are pretty, and you can tell when someone's just picked up pickleball for the first time. They might be a great player, but usually it's a little bit clunky. Yeah. And so, but what I noticed when I started playing tennis again in the last month is already my pickleball game has started to improve, because my footwork, I'm being more intentional with my footwork, because in tennis you have to be, because you have to have that footwork there. You're not going to be able to compensate. And that's the thing with playing pickleball. It's easy to get sloppy because you don't have to have intentional footwork. You don't have to have your body positioned correctly, because all your power is coming from your arm and your shoulder. The ball and the paddle is so light. Yeah. But in tennis, you have to have your whole body, swinging correctly and moving and moving through the ball. Yeah. And so I think for my kids, they will play both, but there will be a heavy emphasis on tennis first, because I want them to have that footwork. I want them to have the techniques and the strokes that come from tennis that allow them to be good pickleball players. Do I think that you can pick up pickleball as a kid and be an amazing player? Absolutely. But how cool is it when you can do both? And I don't think you can nearly as easily go from being a pickleball player to a tennis player as you can a tennis player to a pickleball player.
Makes total sense to me.
And I think that that's really important. So I don't know that I see any struggle right now. I do totally see the guy that I'm playing tennis with. He's the pro at the country club here in Hot Springs. His name is Daniel Cornelison. We were actually just talking about youth tennis when I was with him last, and I don't even remember what it's called, but I guess now youth tennis, like you do, they have smaller courts that they start with when you're young and different size balls. When I was a kid, we didn't have that. Like, I played on a full court. I had the foam ball when I was really little, but not like the different levels. And at first I was like, like snowflakes these days. Like, no, as an 8-year-old, you play a full court like I did.
You bang it.
You use a full size.
You run.
Hit 10 and you do it. But he did educate me in the sense that I get that kids would get burnt out. I didn't, thankfully, but I get that it's not like when you're out playing t-ball as an 8-year-old and you always get to hit a ball and run around the bases. Like, when you're playing basketball as a youth, you're not playing at it with a 10-foot goal on a full-size court. when you are playing t-ball, you're playing on a smaller, in a smaller, with a smaller diamond on a smaller field. And so I get that for youth, pickleball is easier to pick up. And so I think it catches their attention more. But I do love the idea that junior tennis has morphed into accommodating a smaller body, and maybe kind of helping them develop the game. Because one of the things that he mentioned is these younger kids, when they have a smaller court to play on, they can play a full game now.
Yep.
They, instead of learning the technique and how to hit the ball and how to have proper footwork, but they don't have the knowledge of how to play the game. Now, because there's a smaller court and lighter balls, they can actually play a full game at 8 and 10 and 10 years old. And so as they're moving up into their teen years, they have not only the knowledge of the footwork and the technique and the stroke, but they have the knowledge of how to play the game. And so I do think that that's really important. And I love that tennis is evolving in that sense and really catering to that, because I think that's how you're going to keep youth engaged. I think that's how you're going to continue to pump out high-level tennis players. And so I hope that these clubs that are incorporating pickleball, I hope that, and you guys, I'm sure are doing it, that you're not just putting an emphasis on pickleball or an emphasis on tennis. You're really bringing them together and giving the best of both worlds, because I think that's where the sweet spot's going to have to be. The technique and the discipline of tennis with the fun and the energy and the unpredictability that we talked about that pickleball brings. I think that there's a marriage there that is going to be really beautiful once that's figured out.
Lucia, well said. That was a thoughtful and wonderful answer to a great question from the gallery. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just thinking of another question, just real quick. You brought up a thought in my mind. I know Vulcan's primarily a pickleball paddle company. What about the ball itself? You were just talking about juniors and kids playing and the different balls that tennis has been using for several years now, red ball, orange ball, green ball. Do you think that a company such as Vulcan is in experimental stages with balls that might be easier for, say, a younger player to play with, or maybe a senior player? Is there something like that going on that you can speak about?
You mean so on like an actual pickleball?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because tennis balls are, for adults, it's a yellow ball, but yet there's some other different balls for kiddos. So what about maybe in pickleball, something like that?
As far as the youth goes, that isn't something that's been talked about yet. As far as developing a ball, yes, we are in the works in doing that right now. And that's really exciting for us. The pickleball ball is already so light. I don't know how or if that's necessary, and it may be, because we do have youth paddles. I do think that that's really important. Yeah, a pickleball paddle is already small, a lot lighter than a tennis racket. But when you're a 4-year-old, it's still kind of hefty. So we have youth paddles because it is important to us to develop that market. We're the title sponsor for JPO out of Utah, which is one of Tyler Loong's projects, and they also did the junior PPA, and we're the title sponsor for that. And we're really proud of that, because youth is something that we're passionate about. And as we all know, pickleball didn't start off as a youthful game. It was the emphasis of seniors at first, and then it's gotten younger and younger, that demographic. And we see that other people are recognizing that, including the PPA. I know there was a lot of emphasis on the senior tour for them. And I think from some information that we've recently been made aware of, that they're going to be putting a lot more emphasis on their junior PPA tour, which is amazing. And so from that, I think we'll see all different kinds of developments, not just the youth paddle, which a couple companies do have. But I think we will start to see how to develop a youth program, because that's still a little bit unknown too. I have people call in from country clubs and just from tennis leagues and groups all over the country, hey, I need some of your junior paddles, and do you know how to do a youth program?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to figure it out. And so we have some people here in Hot Springs that do a really great job with it. We have IQ Pickleball, which is a company that we're partnered with, and they have all kinds of amazing teaching techniques, and they have a big emphasis on youth. And so we have a little bit of knowledge on how to start developing that youth program, and part of that is in the gear that's used. Youth paddles, we see are really important. I don't know that we've encountered that different balls are important for that, but we're always open to that development. And I think that's something that as pickleball is developed in teaching youth, we'll figure out, because, if you can have 3 and 4 year olds out there, like just swinging a ball around, swinging a paddle around and trying it out. Yeah, we might need a lighter ball. So we're open to that, but we're on the frontier of, I think, that youth, and trying to figure out how to engage them and how to teach them well, and how to keep them, on the racket sport track even. And so Vulcan is always wanting to do what's necessary to grow the sport and to give people what they want and what will help them improve the game, and just be an ambassador for the pickleball community in general. So it's not something we have on the horizon now, but a ball is on our horizon. So if that's something that is found to be necessary, then it's something that we would be involved in.
That's great.
Sounds good. What an honest and informative second set there. And that was brought to us by?
That would be the Circula app, which is the first world-class platform to unite sport and entertainment
and
together.
It's global. It's in the UK originally, and we've gotten to know the people behind it, like Mark Wylam, but tremendous company. So shout out to them. And why don't we do who is sponsoring the third set? I think we all know it.
That's always our usual Master Systems courts. That would be the great Blair Descaret.
Remarkable.
Local gentleman who, if you're interested in a nice lid, we're going to make sure that the Vulcan folks get a few lids from Master Systems. They've sponsored the lids and a couple of things that they do here for us. That would be great. But Blair Descaret, who does all sorts of
sport courts, pickleball, tennis, basketball, everything.
Nets, you name it, he does it. So, he does. Actually, he does quite a few pickleball courts, believe it or not.
So many private courts at people's homes that used to look like driveways and backyards, and now it's an absolutely gorgeous court with custom paint jobs, expensive pigments. No, not expensive, but great pigments.
Right.
Yeah, so he does a great job with that. Yeah.
The great Blair Descaret with Master Systems. So look up Blair here locally in the North Texas area, and he might even come your way also, too. Right?
Love it.
Yep.
So that's the third set sponsor. And, Lucia, well, you know what that means. That means we get to wind things down for the third game here. To go back to the pickleball parlance. CV, what do you got? You've got 3 games within the third game.
That is correct. We have 3 games. We have 3 segments in the third set, or third game, pardon me. And we'll start off here with Lucia. So, ready? First band you saw in concert?
Okay, it wasn't a band, but it was Neil Diamond.
Oh, wow.
Neil
you
Diamond.
are an old soul.
Wow.
Yeah.
Neil Diamond. Where'd you see Neil Diamond at? Just out of curiosity.
In Little Rock. It was the Alltel Arena back then, when, I don't know if you guys remember Alltel. It's like a phone company.
Sure.
Before it was Verizon. So it was the Alltel Arena in Little Rock. Yeah, years ago. I was probably, 12 years old maybe.
And that guy's got a lot of songs. I just sitting there thinking Song Sung Blue. That was my, just came up in my mind right there. How long did that guy play for? How long did Neil play for? Man, that must have been hours, right?
I mean, it was a while, and again, this was a long time ago. But yeah, it was a long time, and I distinctly remember, like his encore when he came out, because Alltel, like everyone was going crazy, and I remember that he made us wait a really long time for that encore. I was like, like people were starting to get up and leave because it was taking so long.
Really?
And finally he came back out, and the people that were starting to filter out like came back and sat back down, and he blew us away, and it was Sweet Caroline. And so, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Sweet Caroline. That's right. Yeah. That's a great song too. There's so many great ones that Neil has. I mean, he's a legend. That's for sure. That's a great concert, actually. That'd be fun to see. So what's your favorite type of music? What do you like listening to? What's on the playlist?
Oh gosh, that's really difficult. Billy Joel is my favorite musician, my favorite artist. I've seen him in concert, saw him most recently, actually. And I think really probably 80s. I'm really into some 80s. I like modern music, but I'm really an old lady. So most of the time I'm like, I don't know. You guys need to go to church or something. Do some confession. Like,
Throw some 80s bands. We were in the 80s, so we kind of know. So throw us some 80s. Besides Billy Joel,
Okay.
he's more 70s.
So I saw Poison in concert. We have this thing called Riverfest, which is at the River Market at the Rock on the river. And it's this big festival where a bunch of different bands come. And I saw Poison, and I saw them like walking. They had their RV like behind, and I'm like 21 at the time. And so I go down there and I'm like, I wonder if I just wait here long enough, if they'll come out and I can like make out with one of them.
That's so funny.
That's 21-year-old me. And so, yeah, that kind of sums up my taste in music. No, I like a lot of different stuff though. I'm into country music from like 83 to like 2005. Ed Sheeran now is amazing. Adele is amazing. I really appreciate good lyrics and intention. Like, what's his name? Morgan Wallen. Is that his name? I think he has beautiful lyrics and some amazing songs. And so that's why I really love Billy Joel though. I think I think to me, he is the best lyricist of all time. He is a storyteller, and I love the kind of songs that he writes. I feel like I'm there with him in the moment. So for me, it's not so much about like a specific type of music. It's about each individual song.
Each individual song. And yeah, Morgan and Billy Joel, tremendous songwriters. But you must have really gotten to talk makeup and hair with Poison though, right?
I mean, unfortunately, they did not come out, which I was shocked by because they clearly saw me sitting there. But
Bret Michaels, come on, he has the headband. You know, I mean, who wouldn't like Bret Michaels?
So,
you know,
yeah, I would have. I didn't want to talk with them that much. I had other things on my mind. But yeah, it's so crazy that they didn't take advantage of the fact that I was sitting there. I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Well, if they would have known, maybe somebody will get in touch with them on the podcast listening tonight. So,
maybe you can call DeGeneres. She can call Bret Michaels' agent. We could set something up.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, clearly, once he sees this, he'll be like, geez, I really missed that opportunity.
Yeah, it's sad.
All right, next question. If you're in a band, all right, and you might have been in a band. We don't know. We're going to find out here. Which position would you be in the band? Would you be the lead singer, like Bret Michaels? Would you be a drummer? Would you be a piano player, Neil Diamond-ish? You know, would
Billy
you be
Joel?
Glockenspiel player like me? I'm a world famous Glockenspiel player. So, you know, where is Lucia sitting in the band? What are you doing?
So my alter ego, I would love to be a drummer probably.
Oh, really?
But more realistically, probably I'd just be a badass drummer.
Really?
You know.
Who's your favorite?
I mean,
who's your favorite drummer? Just out of curiosity.
I don't have a favorite drummer at all. I'm just saying if I was somehow proficient enough to be a musician, then I guess I would, but it would be the kind of thing where like no one suspects it. And then like I see a drum kit sitting there and then I just like rock everyone's world. And then I drop the drumsticks and walk off stage.
So cool.
And that would be like a one and done situation for me.
No, that'd be great. I mean, that's why we like to ask questions like this. Would you be like a singer like Phil Collins, and have the headset on and be able to play at the same time, keep time? Or, would you do something like that?
I don't think that I'm that talented.
Well, if you could,
sure.
let's say that,
I mean, okay. In all honesty, if it like for me, if no one was watching, and that's the thing, I can sing a little bit, like I can carry a tune in a bucket. I don't do it publicly ever. But for me, like if I could snap my fingers, I would be an amazing piano player and I would just play on my piano by myself and sing my favorite songs by myself. And that would be what I would do if I could snap my fingers and have a musical talent. But it would be privately in my own house, probably with the lights off. So, in case anyone walked in, they wouldn't even know it was me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to be a drummer too. I think that'd be kind of cool.
So great.
Right. That's why I like the glockenspiel, because I get to hit things.
Yeah, it's like sports.
Right. It is. You get to hit something. So, all right. This is the second game. Here we go. Favorite movie and/or TV shows. Kind of what do you watch?
The Office is my favorite TV show, by far. It's kind of like my comfort show too. Like, I fall asleep to it many nights, just like on in the background. I think there are so many fun layers to it. I always hear something funny that I missed, and I'm telling you, I have been watching that show. It's usually on at some point throughout the week, and that's been going on for the last 15 years. So I have seen that show a lot, but there's always something funny and layered that I appreciate. So that's my favorite show. My favorite movie, gosh, that is so difficult. That's so difficult. There are so many, because I think it depends on the mood that I'm in. Oklahoma, which is a movie from the 50s. I love that movie, but sometimes that's a little bit too much energy because it's a musical and it's a little too much. I also love the original Pride and Prejudice from the 40s with Greer Garson and Laurence Olivier. That one's a little bit quieter and more calm, so I love that. I also really like My Favorite Wife with Cary Grant and Irene Dunn. That one's great.
That's more of a comedic, or almost romantic comedy prototype. He and Irene Dunn, Cary Grant and Irene Dunn are married, and she goes on a work trip on a boat, and the boat sinks, and 7 years go by, and he's ready to marry someone else, and all of a sudden she comes back because she was marooned on an island, and she makes it back finally to the U.S. after being rescued. And like in the middle of the wedding, she pops up, and he thinks he's going crazy because he's like seeing his wife for the first, and he just has her pronounced dead by a judge like right before. And it's just all like the hijinks of him being in the middle of remarrying, but really being happy that his wife is actually alive. So, that's a great synopsis. I know Tom Hanks totally ripped that off.
Oh yeah, there are so many movies that he and Meg Ryan have ripped off. Like it's I mean, so many movies today though are ripoffs. Like, and it's fine, you can redo it, but anytime I see stuff, I'm like, guys, I'll send you the original.
Yeah,
like it's better.
I'm so surprised somebody your age has that knowledge and attitude. I know we're that way with our own kids. Like, bro, everything's a remix. That came from this, or he sampled that, or she sampled this, and here you are pulling rank on everybody. I love it.
I mean, these are.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I appreciate the classics, and I really appreciate the thought and witty intellect that goes into a lot of these older movies. Like, I mean, movies today are funny and they're great, and a lot of them are awesome, but it's almost like movies and entertainment today are put in our face so that we don't have to think. It's like they spell everything out for the audience because it's almost like we can't use our own brains to read between the lines and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate a culture where it forces you to use your imagination a little bit more, and it's things are portrayed in a more artistic way. And so, yeah, that's my old lady reasoning for liking older stuff, I guess.
Well, make yourself some soup and a cup of tea and nurture that old lady, because there's quality there, girl.
Every time I think of
more like a bottle of wine. But
there you go.
Every time I think of Cary Grant, what's the famous line? Judy, Judy, Judy.
Oh, of course.
Judy, Judy, Judy.
Judy.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Lunch. Oh, really?
Midday, huh?
Yeah. I'm not a breakfast person. I never have been. When I was younger, I would wake up and want like a turkey sandwich or a Caesar salad for breakfast. And my diet has gone through a really big shift in the last year. I figured out I was allergic to meat. And so growing up, though, I think because of that, lunch was always easier to like have lighter meat. Because, here in our culture, it's like bacon and sausage and eggs. And like it was always like heavily animal protein breakfast. And then the same for dinner, you're eating like steak or chicken breasts, a heavily meat protein dinner. And so for lunch, you can get away with like a little bit of turkey on a sandwich or like a salad or, you know, like something that's a little bit lighter. And so that was my preference growing up. And so as I was younger, you know, I had my parents being like, oh no, like you got to eat all this meat, like you eat your meat and then like not many carbs and a little bit of vegetables, but mostly high protein. And that really messed up my body in a lot of ways, which I didn't figure out until I was older. And so I figured that out within the last year, and that's adjusting. But so yeah, still lunch though. I like kind of more like finger foods and usually more cold foods and light stuff in general. So
now McClard's barbecue.
Ooh.
Okay, I did go there the other day, and I got, it's so funny. So Mike, our GM, and we were going to go to this Mexican food truck that we usually go to that we like. And it was closed for whatever reason, because they just randomly close. And so we went to another food truck, and we'd never been there before, but we were so excited about it. And we get up to the window, and because it's packed, and we order, and then it's cash only. And so, which we didn't know because we'd never been there. So we're like, crap. So McClard's was on the way back, and Mike, our GM, loves McClard's and their tamale spread. And so he wanted to stop there. And if I ever go to a barbecue place, I always get like a baked potato with just beans and slaw. And so I get up to the counter and I'm ordering, and they're like, oh, we don't do baked potatoes anymore. And so I'm looking at the menu, and the only thing they have that I can even eat is their loaded French fries, which have meat on it. But I'm like, okay, I just want the French fries. I don't want any of the meat, and just put coleslaw and beans on it. And so they make it for me, and it was fine. But I don't know. It was a funny joke between Mike and I, because I ended up paying $20 for these French fries with beans and slaw, because what she did, she like charged me for like the regular full meat, like loaded fries. And then she added coleslaw, and then she added extra beans. And it wasn't even that good, but Mike loved his bread.
Right. I've been to McClard's before.
Yeah, up in
Hot Springs.
Yeah.
That's why the reference right there.
Yeah, nice going.
That's the only place I remember eating there. I just remember McClard's was really good. Yeah, for barbecue. Yeah, for barbecue, at that time, it was really fantastic.
Yeah, if I'm going to eat barbecue, then, which I don't eat meat anymore, but I do like their sauce, which is what barbecue's all about.
That is correct.
It's a little bit more I like, yeah.
All right, so speaking of food, you got me hungry here. All right, and we're thinking about this dinner party, lunch party, soiree, shindig, hoedown, as we call it in Oklahoma. I'm actually from Oklahoma, so I like the reference to the Oklahoma musical that you like, so I can sing that song. But so how about some dinner guests? You know, maybe some lunch guests, some people around the table to have a little outing, let's say. And we know AJ and I would be invited, but are there 4 or more other people that you would like to invite? And they can be all the way back from Adam and Eve all the way forward. They could be real people, non-real people.
Yeah, fictional, literary, anything.
Right. You can be Star Trek. You could be like Mr. Spock, live long and prosper. Vulcan.
Vulcan Pickleball.
That's right. I just had a little shout out right there. I had to do that. So sorry about that. No one's ever done that before, I'm sure.
No, never. So I guess, well, I have 2 trains of thought. One is I want all of these people to be compatible, so it's not like an awkward lunch. But then also, if it's just the fact that I get to eat with them, then I don't care. They can suck it up, and I can talk to each of them individually.
Right.
So if it were that scenario, then Dean Martin.
Yes.
Rosalind Russell.
Ooh.
She's an older actress from like the 40s. Billy Joel. And who else? Probably Steve Carell from The Office.
Oh,
little Dunder Mifflin.
Yeah. What a great guest list, and they will get along.
Yes, they would.
Yeah.
I kind of think they would, yeah.
Speaking of Michael Scott from The Office, are you superstitious or only a little stitious?
I literally have a sign that I put up in the fall that says that I hand painted. So I appreciate the fact that you know that. It was at a church, and it was like, it was like when shiplap was a thing, and like DIY like projects that you put in your house.
Yeah.
And everyone was doing verses, like Psalms, whatever, bless this house, whatever, which is great, and I'm all for. But I was like looking for Michael Scott quotes. I was like, And none of these other ladies from church even knew what I was talking about.
Oh, that's sad.
Steve Carell.
But a little.
Little stitches, just a little stitches.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Little stitches.
Yeah, he's a funny dude, that guy. I mean, and Dean Martin. Dean Martin, serious actor, great.
Brilliant singer.
Brilliant singer, and funny as all can be, man.
I should have said Jerry Lewis, too. I mean, because how could I have one without the other?
Yeah.
But I was thinking of Dean Martin initially for his voice, but I have seen every Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin movie probably 40 times each. When I was younger and my dad would take to the Village Blockbuster video every single weekend, it was always a Jerry Lewis or Dean Martin movie. Scared Stiff is one of my favorite movies of all time, actually.
You know, Jerry Lewis was a great drummer too. You know, just off the side.
Was he?
Yes. Yeah, I've seen on YouTube. Actually, I was surprised to see Jerry Lewis could actually hit the skins. I mean, he acted like he couldn't, but I mean, the dude had some serious. He could keep time really well. So I was really impressed. He had a little battle with, I don't know who it was. I'm trying to think here really quick. Buddy Rich, maybe. They were doing some stuff. I mean, Buddy was doing the main, playing, and then Jerry kind of acquiesced off. But yet, they kind of went back and forth, and he played, a couple of measures, and then he'd play a couple of measures. Jerry Lewis was an unbelievable, musician as well as actor.
Love it.
As well. So
that's so cool. I know he played the piano, right? Mm-hmm. And he had a great voice, too. I mean, he did. Yeah. He's so talented and just overall, but I didn't know he was a drummer. Now I'm gonna have to go look that up.
Look it up. I like I said, I've seen it several times. I just kind of have that kind of mind also that just kind of wanders sometimes on YouTube. But what are you serving, just real quick, at this gathering? What are we serving? What are we eating? We know AJ and I will be there, so we're hungry right now, so we're going to be there. We're driving up.
Okay, well, it's really tough again because my whole life I've eaten meat and I love to cook, and I'm a pretty decent cook. And so normally I feel like I would do like some really good chicken salad for lunch with some, I don't know, really good homemade French fries and some homemade lemonade. Maybe like some creme brulee for dessert. That sounds good now. Now I'm hungry. But now that I don't eat meat, I guess I would serve all that for you guys because I'm not going to make you suffer through what I would eat. But for me, I would probably just do like a cucumber sandwich and maybe like some hummus on the side. My diet's really boring now, so you don't want to ask me that.
No, we'll eat anything.
We will, and that lemonade sounds awesome.
Yeah, with some fresh mint from my garden.
Love it.
We're just there for the convivial conversation, so I had to get in convivial. That's two, I think, convivials tonight.
Yeah, we've used the word texture more tonight
than
thanks
convivial.
To Lucia than convivial. It's crazy.
Right.
Bit of a reversal there.
All right, East Coast, West Coast. Are you an East Coast person or a West Coast person? Probably.
Between the two, probably West Coast. But in general, I would just choose the South. But between the two, West Coast.
Nice.
All right, so mountains or beach? I kind of have an idea where you're going then.
Beach.
Yeah, I was going to say, now, are you down on the Gulf? Are you down there like Destin and the Sugar Coast? Or are you more like Alabama?
Yeah.
Where are you heading?
Yeah, Destin.
Destin?
Yeah, Destin. My family was vacationing in Destin before it like really exploded and was touristy. Like when Scenic Highway 98 was like just tiny little like motels still. Like that's the kind of stuff I grew up going to. So I appreciate when stuff is small and quiet, which Destin isn't anymore, but it's still nostalgic and I love that whole coastline.
So did you have a station wagon? Did you all jump in the station wagon and drive down there?
No. So we had, now you're going to make me relive all this childhood trauma. We had an RV, and I don't mean like the pull behind, like, like one of like the tour bus, like RVs with like the sides that, like slide out. And because we were homeschooled, my dad was obsessed with going west, like going to southern Texas and New Mexico and Arizona, and then also Destin. And so in the beginning of traveling, when I was really young, before we got that RV, we would go down in the Suburban, and there was this one little place in Destin called Frangista. And it's a property development company now, I believe. But originally it was this tiny little motel with like terracotta tiles and these twin beds with like sand in the sheets. And like, it was just like the epitome of like this tiny little beach motel. But once that was gone and they started to build stuff up, we got an RV so that we could just get in whenever my dad wanted to, like, go down to Fort Worth to the stockyards and the fraternity and go to Sedona, or, you know, do that kind of stuff. So it was mostly in an RV with my 3 other siblings and my parents and animals, and I could not wait to get out. I mean, as a 13-year-old, you know, but yeah, so that's most of the traveling was done in the RV.
That sounds like fun. You know, getting to Winnebago and off we go, right?
What a great question you sparked.
See
fun
Americana,
answer.
yeah. So sunrise or sunset? Morning, evening?
Sunset. Not a morning person.
Okay, yeah, neither.
Yeah.
I don't think AJ's more the
I'm more of a morning guy.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes that sunrise.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I'll stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning sometimes, and just laying there kind of. I go to sleep with the television on as well, but usually it's a Western, so I listen to Westerns. All the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, the morning. I was actually talking to Dusty about this the other day. The morning makes me physically ill, and I do not know why. I force myself to go to sleep now, so I get enough sleep. But I would much rather be up late than up early, and I cannot stand it. I appreciate God's nature, and I love the fact that the world is waking up, but I would rather it be up for a few hours before I am.
Yeah, she was hanging around Oxford,
Mississippi.
Yeah, they're at Ole Miss there, probably
Late nights.
Oh yeah,
The hottie toddy culture.
That's right. Yes.
How do you guys even know this? Did I tell you this, Craig? Like, how do you know that?
We are
There's our research department right over there.
Yeah, it's R&D. Come
Okay.
on. We got a little something here. We got some chops. Favorite holiday? What's your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Christmas.
Yes. That's always our Christmas at the beach. Christmas, kind of like a cold Christmas, like a snow.
Cold Christmas. Yeah, I get really sad, which here in Arkansas, just like it is in Texas, but here in Arkansas, the weather's so unpredictable. So there have been a couple Christmases where I wake up and it's literally 70 degrees and sunny, and I get so depressed by it because that's like the only time of year when I want it to be cold and gray, and I don't know, unless it's like unless we've got a lot of snow, then it can be sunny. I'm okay with that, but I need to see snow. One of the things that my family's been doing the past couple of years, my older brother, Christopher, he has a beautiful lodge up in the Catskill Mountains in New York. And so even though it's not always cold and snowy here, we'll go up there right around Christmas time and be in the lodge with big fireplace and cold weather and snow and big Christmas trees. Yeah.
Bing Crosby.
That's the life.
Bing Crosby singing "I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas." Is that on the radio?
Exactly. Although not as well-known classic movie is Christmas in Connecticut with Barbara Stanwyck. That is a great one, and that's like one of my Christmas movies that's always a go-to, in addition to Holiday Inn and White Christmas, of course. But Christmas in Connecticut is a classic that everybody needs to watch, and it's so underrated.
Yeah, everybody's seen It's a Wonderful Life 400 or 500 times, and that's a good way to branch out, Christmas in Connecticut.
Yeah, Christmas in Connecticut for sure. Also, there's another one that you guys need to watch around Christmas time called It Happened on Fifth Avenue. Not a lot of people know about that one either, but it is so good. It's such a good movie. I highly recommend it. And anytime you need other movie recommendations, come to me.
Well done. Thank you.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not?
That's interesting. That's one of those
Christmas
hot button,
Eve,
divisive sort of topics.
Right. Christmas. Is that a Christmas movie or not? Die Hard.
Okay, I wouldn't call it a Christmas movie, but I get that it is for some people. But I actually only saw it for the first time like 4 years ago. So I think Christmas movies are also about what you grow up with. There's like a nostalgia to it. So if it's something that your family watched around Christmas time, then it's Christmas for you.
Yeah.
So. How about Ralphie? Ralphie, the Christmas Story. Is that a Christmas story?
I actually only saw that for the first time a couple years ago too.
Come on, really? I've seen it. I've seen that about 3,000 times.
Okay. It's so funny. So my friends and I, this is a topic that we go back and forth on. So like Home Alone, which everyone knows is a Christmas movie. I actually did not watch that until I was an adult. So that's not a Christmas movie for me either. And the reason for that is like a funny look into my childhood. My parents were like really intentional about what we watched. And it was about the main emphasis was like, if children were disrespectful to their parents, then they didn't want us watching that kind of thing. And so because those kids were like little terrors, they were like, oh, they're not watching this. But the catch-22 of that is that we were allowed to watch like Clint Eastwood, James Bond, like Rush Hour 2, because if the bad guy loses and the good guy wins, then it's okay. It's a good moral overall. So I grew up watching like a, Fistful of Dollars and, like James Bond. That's what I grew up on. I wasn't allowed to watch Home Alone. So.
Well, real quick, I'm going to divert. Favorite James Bond, since you said that. We asked, that's the second page questions that sometimes we get to.
I know it's not going to be the one that everyone likes, but Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, Pierce Brosnan. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I know that's never anyone picks, I don't think. But yeah, Pierce Brosnan.
Which A View to Kill? Which one do you like, Pierce Brosnan? Which movie?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. I haven't seen them all in years, so I couldn't even tell you which one. I just know I've seen all the Bond movies, and I'm always like, to me, he's like the epitome of like the womanizing, like suave British guy, Because when I think of James Bond, I don't really think of like a badass spy. Like I think that's what Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't view him like he's an awesome, like cool, like spy, but I don't view him as a James Bond type to me. I don't know. To me, when I think of James Bond, I think of Pierce Brosnan. I think of like this kind of, womanizing, like sleazy guy that pulls off these ridiculous stunts somehow. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I like Pierce Brosnan with Terry Hatcher. That was my that was about 97.
Yeah, late 90s.
Yeah, 97, 98 in that time frame. I love James Bond. I'm a huge. I'm more of a Sean Connery old guy way back there, in the day. Because I like Goldfinger. We used to talk about what's your game, Mr. Bond? That's an Ari Goldfinger reference right there. But anyway, we'll keep going. All right, now we're going to go to the third game of the third game. Yeah, so we're going to bring this back to pickleball. All right. Favorite Vulcan pickleball paddle. What's your favorite paddle?
V560.
Ooh, older basic one, huh?
Yeah.
I thought for sure you'd go.
I know. It's the best-selling paddle of all of them, though, for a reason. It's the paddle that Jay started playing with. It's the paddle that we developed the 740 from. Like, that's what we developed it from. It's the paddle that we developed Daniel De La Rosa in the Paddle Candy line. It's the basis for that. It is such a quality, amazing paddle. I can't say enough good things about it. I do love the 740. I love some of the new 900s that we're about to come out with. We have a new 570 that we're about to come out with, which is the same shape as the 560. So many of our most popular paddles are a nod to that 560. But I'm also, as you probably can tell, I'm a creature of habit, and I like the originals of things, and I like the old school. So I'm sure psychologically that somehow plays into it. But the V560 to me is the best paddle that we have. And while I don't mind playing with the other ones, I will always go back to that one, I think.
Now, do you get to go back to the R&D department and trick it up a little bit? Will you go back there and go, hey, guys, will you do this or will you do that? Can you kind of tweak it a little bit for me? Do you do that?
So we do. When we get our paddles in, they go through some processing where we do some different things to the face of the paddle. And when we first get it in, it's unsanded, which means it has a little bit more texture on it. And so I do sometimes snag it before it goes through processing.
Interesting.
And so I can send you one. Yeah, I know you.
It's not USAPA approved. It's not USAPA approved.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
I can send one out for you, maybe.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I do that. But it's really cool. Our 700s are all made here in the U.S. in Tennessee, and so it's really cool that Dusty can call up our manufacturer over there and be like, hey, like Jay is wanting this or Tyler's wanting this. Can you add this to this paddle? Can you make it for me? And he'll put it through his machine and he'll alter all those specs that they want. And so he pops out a couple different ones for our guys to try. And that's part of the product development. That's how our new paddles are born. That's how new lines are born. And so it is a possibility, but I love the 560 in the way that it is. I don't even, a lot of our players add weight. A lot of, the team, like in-house at headquarters, they add weight and different stuff. But other than adjusting the grip size for me, I like it the way it is.
Indoor pickleball, outdoor pickleball?
Outdoor.
Outdoor, really?
For sure.
Is there a favorite place there in the Springs where you play? You can give them a shout out.
Well, I mean, I play at Vulcan most, which is because that's where headquarters is, and that's where we do product testing. We have a really great place in Haskell, Arkansas called Silver Springs. It's it's like 20, 30 minutes from Hot Springs, but the people up there that run it, the Dixons, Joe Dixon and Danny Dixon, they do such an amazing job in the pickleball community. They don't even play with Vulcan, which I'm fine with, but literally everybody loves them. They are so amazing. They do so much for the sport. And so I do love, if it's not at Vulcan, I do love playing there.
Awesome.
What's your favorite pickleball tournament?
Probably the tournaments that Joe and Danny put on at Silver Springs. They're tiny and they're not sanctioned. But they do such an amazing job. They make it fun. They always have music, and their family comes out and makes like chicken salad sandwiches for everyone. And they always have snacks. And Joe runs it so well. The thing that sets a tournament aside is how well it's run. It doesn't matter to me how good the facility is, as long as the courts are playable and not falling apart and the nets are good. I want a tournament that's run well and run efficiently, and that makes all the difference in the world.
Sounds like some conviviality on display up there with the Dixons. That's quite. We might have to go up there. We might have to take a road trip up there.
Let's road trip up there.
Yeah, sounds like it. Do they have tournaments about once a month, or do they? How do you find out about these events?
So he puts them on pickleball tournaments, but a lot of it is over Facebook. I can add you guys to some of the groups if you want, or
Sure.
I can just send you guys some stuff. One of the things that we have coming up that I actually talked to Curtis about on Friday is we have Arkansas Team Tennis, Arkansas Team Pickleball.
There we go.
Which is we had its first season in the spring, and it did so well, it exploded. And so we have the fall season coming up, and we've actually the company, the group that's putting it on is KFI Pickleball, which IQ Pickleball is part of, and Pickleball Burn, and they have a couple different affiliates. And Vulcan is someone that they partner with. It was we kind of grew and were born together around the same time. And so IQ Pickleball is branching out into other states. And so Texas has actually got a couple teams that they're developing, and they're going to come up here for the regionals in December. Oklahoma and Missouri also have some. And so when Curtis heard about it, he was like, send me all the info. I'm going to get a team together.
Yes.
So I know you guys are busy, but you guys might get in on that and get a team together.
At the net podcast team.
Love it. We'll put Curtis on there too.
All right. There we go. All right. You like to watch pickleball on TV or a stream? Are you interested that much in pickleball? I mean, obviously you work at a pickleball company. So do you watch, like I just watched the Tournament of Champions from Brigham City,
Utah.
Yeah. I was just watching that. Super Dave Fleming.
Jay was in there.
Yeah. Jay was up there too. Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah, I totally watch it. I will say, so first of all, I watch all of the PPA tournaments in the MLP, some of the APP tournaments, especially if they have our pros playing, but PPA tournaments, we always have Tyler and Jay in there. And I always watch all those tournaments, but I will say, I don't know if it's just me or I like watching it live. It doesn't hit quite the same if I have to go watch it, if I've missed it. So I always try and catch it live. If our pros are playing, then I'll go watch their specific games, like if I've missed it live. But if I'm able to, and it's live, then I'll watch, everybody play. I have some funny stories involving Matt Wright and Lucy Kovalova, but I have a love-hate relationship with them. And so if they're on, then I love watching them play. And most of the players on the PPA do such a great job. APP too, MLP, I mean, all of them. But most of the PPA tournaments, which seem to be more prevalent and easily streamed, they just do such a great job at entertaining and bringing a high-quality event and play. And it's next level. So, yes, I totally watch it. Do I prefer being in person and watching it? Yes.
Of course.
But I will totally stream and watch it. Yeah, absolutely.
So who's your favorite non-Vulcan pickleball player? So we know all the Vulcan players that are your favorites, but name maybe one or two that maybe, besides Matt and Lucy, that might be your favorite, non-Vulcan team members.
I'm gonna give you a surprise, maybe not a surprise one, but whenever anyone hears it, they're like, "Oh, really?" Irina Tereshchenko.
Oh yeah.
I love watching her play. I think she has such a, not even just a unique style, but you know what she reminds me of when I watch her play? She reminds me of like a 17-year-old male tennis player. Like when she's out there, there's so much energy and so much, it's not like, a lot of times when you watch women's pickleball, there's a lot of banging, back and forth. Like it becomes a really big power game, and she can totally hang in it. But I feel like you can really watch her orchestrating her points and orchestrating her play really well. And she's not at the top of everyone's list right now, and that's okay. I get it, but I think I feel like I can see her mind working when she's playing. And I appreciate that. It doesn't feel like it's just happening. It feels like she's really being intentional and she's in the point. And it might not always be as consistent as everyone else, but I like feeling like I'm watching her orchestrate and play a chess game, not just playing pickleball. So.
A good answer right there. I like it. I've seen her play. She is really good. I mean, there's a lot of fantastic players.
And then AJ Kohler. I think his hands at the net are so amazing. I love that his wrist actions are so fast. I don't know where his balls are going. At the pro level, most pros do such a good job at disguising their shots anyways. They don't always telegraph. But usually at the net, there's still some idea of where that ball is getting ready to go, if they're getting ready to speed it up or if they're getting ready to direct a shot that they are speeding up. But with AJ Kohler, I never know. Like the flicks of his wrist, like I never know where it's going to go. He does such a great job of disguising the direction and the speed of whatever he's getting ready to hit. So yeah, he's probably my top male player that isn't Vulcan right now.
Yep. All right, so the last two questions, then we're going to let you go because we know you got to get up, go to work in the morning. Unfortunately, so do we.
That's right.
So if you wouldn't have been involved in sports like you are, what would you be doing right now? Would you be, science teacher, in Oxford, Mississippi, or what would you be doing? You think?
Yeah. So if I hadn't come back to work for to help run my family's company, and then I hadn't gotten involved in Vulcan, if I had been on the career path that I was headed, then I would be a prosecuting attorney. Right now.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, with a degree in criminal justice and a minor in psychology.
Boy, don't get her mad at you.
That's right.
Wow,
that's serious stuff.
Yeah. That's how'd you get interested in that? What was the fascination with law and psychology?
So I think psychology was more. It was more on the back burner. For me, I always was interested in. Well, okay, as a kid, I just thought to myself, I couldn't believe our justice system, and I was so mad when I felt like people were getting off way too early, or just so easily. I had this naive, like, the way that the criminal justice system worked, I was like, this is wrong and I'm going to fix it. I wasn't okay with it, and so I wanted to be a prosecuting attorney specifically, and I wanted to put the bad guys behind bars. Like that was what 11-year-old me wanted to do. And then because of that, I wanted to have a criminal justice degree because I felt like, why not have that kind of background and knowledge? And then after that, I wanted to have, some knowledge of psychology. And, psychology is a soft science, and I get that, but I like knowing how the mind works. But really, as I got older, and I think sales has a big part of it, watching my dad be a salesman and all that, to me, psychology is really just about understanding people. And yes, going through psychology, textbooks and courses help with all that. But I think if you're observant of people in the world, you are able to gain your own understanding on how the mind works. And that just comes from from being a human being and being out in the world and being empathetic to people and being objective, I think is really important. Being able to understand not only how we process our own emotions and our own thoughts, but being able to understand how other people process. And at the end of the day, we're all the same. We all have emotions and feelings, and it's important to learn how to control them and govern them. And I think that once we can do that, we can view the world with a more objective eye and start to understand thought processes and people and just how everyone ticks. And I was interested in that.
So you must have watched a lot of Murder, She Wrote and Matlock back in the day. You know, those 80s shows with Angela Lansbury and Andy Griffith.
Yeah. Definitely Andy Griffith, a ton of Andy Griffith, but only as long as like Don Knotts was there, you know, Barney Fife.
Right.
I didn't love it quite as much once he was gone. He was the star of the show, let's be honest. So I also watched a lot of Columbo.
A lot of Columbo. Peter Falk.
A lot of Diagnosis Murder. So with Jerry Van Dyke, Dick Van Dyke.
Dick Van Dyke, yeah.
So yeah, that totally, yeah.
All right, last question, and then we'll let you go. All right, we always ask this question. It's kind of a big picture question that we like to end with, a showstopper, so to speak. If you were the pickleball commissioner and the game of pickleball was in your hands, let's say, and you had this big decision to make, or maybe not, would you change anything about pickleball or just leave it the way it is? You like the way it's evolving?
Oh gosh, that's such a big question. Well, first of all, let me preface all this by saying I don't think any one person should have that much power, including myself. So
we're giving you that power right now.
I wouldn't want to have all that pressure on me. But I think I kind of already a little bit touched on it. I definitely want to put a ceiling on the texture that's on those paddles. I'm all for texture, but I don't want us to get too crazy with it. So I would do that. I would also, I get that there are top players that have to be accommodated for because they're your kind of the stars of the show. And in a sense, like we have some of those on our team. So I get that there's like a little bit of like, there's benefit, there's, on that side. And so, and we get to experience some of that because we have some of the top players on our team. But I think there's also the reality of being fair across the board because while you do need to players, you have to make it consistent for all your players or you're going to end up losing people. And I think that's where we see some of the split between the APP and the PPA. And I think that will continue to be perpetuated as long as there's some favoritism. And I think we've witnessed some of that a little bit when it comes to paddle regulations and what is and isn't allowed. So for me, it would be making sure that it is the same across the board for everyone. Making sure that we don't bend the rules, even if it's in our favor sometimes, which I get, maybe sometimes it is. And so it's easy to get seduced by that kind of power and favoritism. But I think it's important to maintain the same rules and the same standards for everybody. And that includes players and manufacturing companies and paddle manufacturers, especially. When you're bending the rules and changing the rules by player and by manufacturer, you're polluting the waters, you're corrupting the game, the governing bodies, and the integrity of the sport, I think.
Wow, that's interesting. That's a big answer right there.
Well thought out, too.
Before we go real quick, do you have a favorite tennis player? Just real quick. Do you have
Andre Agassi.
Andre Agassi, really? Not Rafa Nadal?
I mean, totally. He's amazing. But Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras, what they had, and that's kind of what, Nadal and Federer have kind of. The originals, right? I'm all about the originals. And I feel like they started to develop tennis, which you guys know way more about this than I do, but I think they started to develop that tennis and that new style, and just taking everything to the next level. I think they were, and it might just be because of my age and I grew up starting to watch them. I mean, I play with the TI Radical, because that's what Andre Agassi had. And that paddle or that racket is so old, you can't even buy it anymore. I have to buy them off of eBay. But my favorite racket of all time, I love it. But yeah, I think that not only did I have a massive crush on him, but I loved watching him play. I loved the back and forth between he and Pete Sampras. And yes, Nadal and Federer have like taken it to this other like crazy, almost superhuman level. I feel like Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras laid the groundwork for that. And I loved watching Agassi play. So
Rafa, do you think you would like to be a Vulcan pickleball player?
Well, Craig Bell, no, thank you so much for asking. No, I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna work hard to figure out the answer. But right now, I'm just humbled by Lucia's answer. No, that Agassi, she had a crush on him. No, instead of me, and I gonna work hard. No, it's okay.
Sorry. We had to get one in. So he does about five. He does about 5 voices. So we got Rafa's our favorite, but he does do.
What are the other ones?
Well, Novak, Novak, you got to be right there playing pickleball too, don't you, Novak?
On the court as well as off the court, Craig. I'm honored to try pickleball every now and then, and give my heart to all 4 corners of the smaller court. No, it's a bless for me. It's a blessing to embrace other sports and challenges with a guest like Lucia. No.
Yeah. Now, Nick, has pickleball made it down to Australia yet? Have you heard about pickleball in Australia?
Mate, you call yourself a journalist, mate. Piss off. Next question.
Andy, what about Scotland? Do you think that Scotland is ready for pickleball over in Scotland?
I mean, yeah, it's great. We've sort of invented it in many ways in our sister city, Seattle, Washington. So I'll try it when I'm 70 or 80 years old, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
We humor ourselves sometimes.
We get a laugh out of our own silliness.
Yeah. So that's he has a great voice to be able to do that. So that's I had to get through there.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And he goes back and forth.
Texting you. I'm going to be texting you like these new voices, and I'm going to need you to learn. Like as I think of people, I'm like, oh, I'm going to need him to like.
Did you have Jay down? Now Jay would be a great one also too. I'm trying to think what Jay sounds like.
I've spoken a little French with him, but he's a big dude with a similar voice like me. But I'll have to bone up a bit on the French, and he sounds actually very American now, though. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, there's no I talk to him like. I feel like a lot of times with someone with a heavy accent, it helps with like when you're there in person because you can kind of watch their lips.
Yeah.
I can talk on the phone with him all day, and I totally there's like no barrier at all.
Yeah.
It's he's very easy to understand, and I think he's definitely Americanized himself a little bit.
Yeah. He even calls himself Jay instead of Jocelyn.
Yeah. Everyone knows him as Jay. Yeah.
Well, Lucia, it's been a real honor.
You're a
privilege.
blast.
We've had a great time with you. We could talk for longer, more hours, but we better cut off. So we know that, actually we've been talking a couple hours right now.
Yeah. This is
the 2-hour mark. So
we're thankful for the time with you, Lucia. This has been awesome.
All right. Yeah, it's been, to learn about Vulcan Pickleball, all the great things you're doing. We've never had a pickleball manufacturer. You're our first one on here.
Yeah, we've had officials, we've had pros, we've had promoters, tournament directors for sure. We've had a genius who puts everything together. It was Melissa McCurley.
Yep.
But first time with a manufacturer, so thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, no problem. I wish I could have been a little bit more technical in the actual manufacturing, but it's been so fun. I loved it. And I'm glad that I finally get to at least see you face to face, Craig. I feel like we're basically best friends.
Oh, yeah.
I've never even seen you.
You don't want to see me face to face. It's not a pretty sight.
Come on now.
No, I told you one of these days I'm going to make it down there. I'm going to bring all kinds of goodies to you.
Well, thank you.
And then you're going to fall in love with Vulcan Pickleball, and you're going to want to play with it all the time.
Well, we heard there's through our various sources that there's a professional a senior pro up in Searcy, Arkansas. That's giving you all a hard time.
So we love that guy.
We won't say any names, but Coach Dave Redding, we're going to throw him under the bus.
Let me just say, So Curtis had him pop on the podcast on Friday for a little bit, which was so much fun. And I mentioned a little bit the Arkansas team pickleball. He is, and I texted you about it, Craig, or emailed you. He is stacking his team, and I hope he listens to this because I am not okay with it. I am filing a formal complaint. He has stacked it so hard, and I'm so mad and I'm so jealous. And which is why, really, if you guys want to be subs, I need some subs. You guys can just come up, play in a couple of our events, like wipe the court with them because he needs to get out of here. He's stealing all the good players in Arkansas. It's so ridiculous.
That's
typical coach.
That's typical Dave Redding. We know him down here. We've known him for about 30 years down here. Coach Dave, we miss him a lot. And he was one of the really great guys. Actually, he's the one that introduced me how to play
to pickleball.
Pickleball, yeah, and got me going in this. And then AJ brought everybody along, and he was on the forefront of pickleball
For sure.
in the North Texas area. So. We can thank him a lot.
Yeah.
We're not thanking Coach Dave.
Everyone here has the highest opinion of him. He's so amazing. I've been like kind of learning everybody. I've only been around for a year in pickleball, and I was hearing about this David Redding guy, and they were like, he's so good. He's so good. And I was like, guys, he doesn't even go to tournaments. I've never seen him before. He can't be that good. Okay? And then I saw him at a tournament a couple months ago. I was like, okay, fine. Okay. I guess he's really good. And then I met him. He's amazing and so sweet, and I wouldn't know you guys if it weren't for him. So he's awesome.
It's a small world. So Coach Dave, he was listening. He was actually he was
on the show tonight.
Made some commenting going on. So I know he was around there for a while. If he's still on or not, but he'll probably watch the rebroadcast. We have a bunch of people that watch rebroadcasting as well. So, but thank you once again for your time. All you've done for pickleball, it's a great sport, and I know Vulcan's going to do well and continue to do well.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. This has been so fun. And
what a pleasure.
Hopefully we get to
keep in touch, and we'll ping you for your home address, and we'll send you some swag. And if you have any I'm going to send you some J stuff and some Vulcan stuff. I know Craig doesn't want it because he doesn't want to get something delivered to him. But AJ,
no, I do. You can send it. I don't care.
When we first talked, you were like, "Listen, I hate when reps send me stuff. The box will sit in the corner. I won't touch it." So I was like, "Fine. I'm never going to send you anything. I'm going to hand deliver it to you."
So funny.
No, that's him. That's the wrong.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a diva. He's the diva.
Okay, if you've changed your ways because I've won you over with my winning personality, I will send you stuff.
You have done it. You are awesome. This is a blast tonight for us. Thank you so much.
Real treat, because we've been talking about a couple of months, I think, haven't we?
Yeah, with Lucia.
Yeah, about this. Yeah, so we were looking forward to it. So
all right, guys. Well, this is awesome.
We'll see you later, and look forward to coming up and kicking butt on Coach Dave. AJ and I are in. When's the date, real quick, so we know when to put it down?
Yeah, so there are actually 4 different dates on it, and I can text you guys because I don't have it right in front of me. It doesn't start until October, though, and there's 1 per month, so it's October, November, and December. There are 3 different dates. There might even be 4 in there, and I'm getting it wrong, but I can text you officially.
Yeah.
But any of those dates, I could use you guys for sure. And then if Curtis happens to get a team together, or if you guys do, and you want to actually do your own Texas teams and then bring your team up, then I guess we would be competing against each other.
That's so good, too.
But before that, I need you guys to come up here and be a sub and kick Dave's butt.
Oh, that's great.
We'll show up with the secret sauce, right?
That's it.
To beat Coach
Dave.
So.
Yeah. I'll have McClards waiting.
You speaking the barbecue expert's language right here, Craig.
That's right. Yeah. Had the McClard sauce, secret sauce, right there, ready to go. So, all right, Lucia. Well, thanks a lot. We'll see you in maybe a couple of weeks. Live long and prosper. There you go, right there. Yeah.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Keep in touch. Take care, Lucia.
Very nice, huh?
She is a purist. Man. She's an old soul.
Yep.
She's funny.
Yeah.
And ridiculously high emotional intelligence.
Oh, my gosh.
Really, really.
A lawyer.
Really cool.
That wanted to be in law, and not doing pickleball. It's a pretty smart person. So,
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and cue up the music here. And there we go. Thanks for listening. listening to Season 1, Episode 126 of At the Net Podcast. Join us next week as we'll be talking with Carolyn Peters,
Yes.
a local tennis aficionado, right?
She's a coach, she's a captain, and she's going to let us into the world of recreational tennis. We spend so much time on it's a world, man. It is a thing.
Okay.
It is a vibe, right?
Yeah, so that's going to be next week, next Sunday night here at 8 o'clock. Also join us Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock. We like 8 for some reason.
We do.
8 o'clock seems like a good time on Instagram, right? We do a little show over there.
We'll do
don't we?
tennis shorts. We get to find out what's in Craig Bell's tennis shorts.
Absolutely zero.
We actually rarely have guests on that show, but we've got an amazing guy. He's a good friend of ours. We call him the General, General Bill Patton.
Oh, is he going to be on?
He's going to be on. That's this coming Wednesday. So about a 15, 20-minute intro from Craig and me. Then we'll roll live with Bill Patton and have a great time Wednesday night. You join us, not here, not on YouTube, not on Facebook, but definitely Instagram. It's called At the Net Podcast. So join us 8 Central, 9 Eastern, Wednesday.
Lastly, be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and our other social media outlets. Plus, tell a friend because we like everybody to be a nethead, right?
We love it. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the love and support.
And that's the pickleball news as it seems to us. Good night, everybody. From